Hello and welcome back to the channel on our continuing voyage to become better blues players. My name's Mark, and in this video we're going to look at using chord tones and arpeggios to make our blues sound a little bit more sophisticated. The way the video is going to work, you're going to see me play an example solo that uses lots of different chord tones and arpeggios, and then we'll come back on the other side. I'll explain all the different notes and patterns and things that I'm using, pull everything apart, and then show you all the licks to the entire solo one by one, so that you can learn it yourself and understand where all these ideas and things come from. So here's the example. So that was the example there, and what I'll do now is I'll pull those licks apart and show you them one by one. Before I do, I want to mention that this is the third lesson in a series, and the series started with the first lesson. All the lessons in this series use the same backing track provided by Button-Up Music. So they take the same backing track, and what they're doing is each solo in the series just adds more complexity. The first solo used just the G minor pentatonic. So that was a solo that used just 5 notes, because that's pentatonic scale's only got 5 notes in it. The second one used the BB box, and that gave us 8 notes to choose from. And this one now uses arpeggios and chord tones, which takes the count up to 9. So there's 9 different notes in this solo. So we get more notes and things to choose from. Okay, so the actual backing track, as I say, very kindly provided by Button-Up. We're in a shuffle in the key of G, and what we're doing here is there's 3 chords in a 12-bar blues, in this particular, in most 12-bar blues, not all of them but most. We're in the key of G, so we've got the chords of G7, C7 and D7. Okay, so if we look at the chord of G7, say this one here, that chord actually contains 4 different notes. We've got a G, they're all G notes. We've got, what's that, a B. We've got D, and we've got an F. Okay, so G, B, D and F are the 4 notes that make up that chord. So when we're playing over that chord, we're going to emphasize those notes. Then when the chord progression goes to the C, we're going to emphasize the notes of the C7 chord. So a C7 has a C in it, it has an E, it has a G, and it has a B flat. And those 4 notes together make up a C7 chord. Okay, and then when we go to the D7 chord, however you want to play a D7 chord, that chord is made up of the notes of D, F sharp, A, and C, and then back to the D. Okay, so those are those notes. Now what we've also got underlying this entire thing is that we've got the G minor pentatonic scale as well, which we all know and love, and we all probably have practiced it many times just like I did, which is probably the most useless way of practicing it, to be honest, because it doesn't sound musical at all. What you want to do is emphasize the root notes. So we've got one here, and we've got one here. Okay, so there's your G minor pentatonic scale. So what we've got is we've got a whole range of different notes that we can play, but we emphasize the notes of the G7 chord when we're over the G chord. We'll emphasize the notes of the C7 when we're over the C7 chord. We emphasize the notes of the D7 chord when we're playing over the D7 chord. But at any time, we can also throw in that G minor pentatonic because that's going to sound great over everything. I went into this in a lot more detail in the improvisation series. I will put a link to that in the description below. But basically that's the idea. And what you can do is, in order to learn where those notes are, you can learn the arpeggio shapes. So for example, you can learn that as an arpeggio. That's how I learned it. What you can also do is you can just see G minor pentatonic and then superimpose in your mind a G7 chord over there and pull out any of the notes that fall in that G7 chord. Anyway, the reason why I wanted to put this video together is I covered this in the improvisation series, but the best way to learn this is actually to learn some licks. So that's what the example solo did. It used these examples by pulling out these chord tones, i.e. the tones from within the chord, or arpeggios, whichever way you want to think about them. It used those in the individual licks. So what I'll do now is I'll show you the licks from the solo. If you want a copy of the tab from the solo, please get in touch. Details are in the description below. Send me an email. My email address is in there. Send me an email and I will send you an email back of the PDF of the solo so that you've got that. Okay, so let's have a look at the actual licks to the solo itself now. We'll start with lick 1 and that goes like this. Okay, so what we're doing is we're starting by we are playing the G string and B string together. I'm using my index finger to hold down both of those on the 3rd fret, and then with my middle finger I'm hammering on the G string at the 4th fret and letting the B string ring out. So you get this. And you'll notice that those are notes from that G7 chord. So immediately starting the solo by emphasizing some chord tones. Then I'm playing 5 on the D string, and then I'm grabbing the 3rd fret on the B string and top E string. Okay, so if you look at this, I'm basically just deliberately targeting notes from that chord. Okay, and then I slide up to, where are we, the 7th fret, and then play 6 to 8 on the B string and play that 8. I think we play that 2 times. Okay, so put the whole lick together, we get this. One more time, nice and slow. Okay, and that's emphasizing notes from that G7 chord there, and then coming up and thinking about this G7 chord up here, and it's just pulling notes out from those chords. Okay, so that was lick 1. Lick 2 now goes like this. Nice and slow. Okay, and what I'm doing here is, again, I'm emphasizing this G7 chord here. You can hear that in the chord. Sorry, I meant you can hear that in the lick. So I'm starting hammering on 6 to 7 on the top E string, 8 on the B string, 7 on the G, kind of making that chord shape, and then 6 on the B string, and then ending it with 8 on the B string, and that's the first half of the lick. And then we basically just go around it again, but without the last note. So we're emphasizing this note here, which is the note on the 6th fret of the B string. Okay, so the whole lick, nice and slow. Lick 3 now, the chord changes to a C7. So we're going to stop emphasizing notes from the G7 chord, we're now going to start emphasizing notes from the C7 chord. So we're going to play this lick here. Okay, and the way I'm playing that is I'm visualizing this C7 chord here. And I'm picking out notes from the top of that. Okay, so I'm picking out those notes at the top of that chord. Starting with a hammer on 3 to 5 on the B string, and then hitting 3 on the top E. Back to 5 on the B string. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, using 2 fingers together, 5 on the B string and 6 on the top E string. Back to 3 on the B string and G string together. Sorry, B string and E string together. So nice and slow. Okay, and sometimes when I play that lick, when I pick those 2 together, I give it a dirty push. Okay, you can do that or not. Then what I did is, using my ring finger, I grab the G string and B string together at the 5th fret, and then using my index finger, the G string and B string again, but this time at the 3rd fret, before coming off to the root, which is 5th fret D string, before again grabbing 3 and 3 on the B and G string. So the whole lick, nice and slow. Okay, and by the time we've done that, what we've done is we've covered the C7 chord, and now we're coming back to the G chord. So this is going to be lick 4. Okay, and what we're doing again is we're picking out those notes from the G7 chord by starting, just as we started the first lick, grabbing 3rd fret of the G and B string together, hammering onto 4 on the G string, hitting 5 on the D string twice. Then we're going to pick the 3rd fret of the G string again, which is actually the minor 3rd, and it's not in the chord of G7, but it is in that underlying G minor pentatonic scale. So far we've got this. And then what we're going to do is slide up to 7 on the G string, play 6 on the B string, and then hit 8 on the B string twice. So that lick's very reminiscent of the first lick. Okay, so that was lick 4. Lick 5 now goes like this. And what we're doing now is we've moved to the D7 chord. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play a straight arpeggio of D7. So our D7 arpeggio is playing, where are we? 5 on the A string, 4 on the D to 7 on the D, 5 on the G string, hold it and give it a shake, before 7 on the G string. Okay, nice and slow. Okay, so that was licks 5. Lick 6 now goes like this. And what we're doing is the underlying chord progression has played the D7, where we played our arpeggio for lick 5. Now it's come down to playing a C7. So we're now going to play lick 6, and we're going to emphasize that C7 chord there by literally just picking the notes from it. So we're going to go 5 on the D string, sorry, 5 on the B string, to 3 on the G string, to 5 on the D string twice. So if you notice this chord here, it's just those 3 notes. But I'm playing it like this. And you put those together, so this is lick 5 and 6 together, we get a D7 to a C7. And you hear how that sounds It's emphasizing those chords that are descendant in the chord progression. Okay, and then we're up to lick 7, and this is the last lick of the chord progression. We're back over a G7 chord, playing a turnaround, so it goes like this. And I'll do it nice and slow. Okay, and this one just takes a little bit of work, you'll get it up to speed. We're going to start 5th fret of the G string, bend it up a whole tone, come off to 3 on the top E. Then what we're going to do is we're going to grab 6 on the B string, pull off to 3. So far we got this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go 5 on the G string, back to 3 on the B string. So far we've got this. I'll do it slow. Okay, and one more time, nice and slow. Okay, and then what we're going to do is going to go back to 5 on the G string, off to 3, hammering on to 4, and then 5 on the D string. Okay, so far, nice and slow. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to play the 5 at the on the A string 3 times. Okay, so the whole lick nice and slow. And up to speed. So that was the last lick then. If you've enjoyed these lessons, if you found them useful, if I've helped your blues playing, then please consider supporting the channel and funding more lessons either via Patreon or via the PayPal tip jar. Details of both those things are in the description below. Again, big thanks to Butternote Blues for providing the backing track. Please go out and subscribe to their YouTube channel. Please leave a like on this particular video. Leave me some comments as well. Tell me what other lessons you'd like me to cover as well. Please subscribe. I hope you've enjoyed this. Take care, and I'll see you again.